Winter 1932. A worker stands in a bread line 3 blocks long. He has a job, or he did 3 weeks ago. Cut to 2009. Same fear, different building. He's carrying a cardboard box out of an office, laid off in the worst year of the financial crisis. Cut to spring 2020. Same fear again. He's staring at a handwritten closed sign taped to a door that used to be his job. 3 moments, 91 years apart. Every one of them a recession. But not every recession hurts the same amount. And the one you're picturing right now probably isn't the one that hurt the most. Quick test. Picture the worst recession of your lifetime. If you're picturing 2008, the banks, the foreclosures, the crash, you're not alone. It's the one most people alive today actually lived through. But the one you remember and the one that actually hurt the most are 2 different questions, and this video is about the second one. Since 1929, the U.S. has had 8 recessions officially recognized by the National Bureau of Economic Research, the group whose entire job is dating these things. Some lasted 2 months. One lasted 43. Some barely dented the economy. One erased more than a quarter of it. By the end of this video, all 8 are ranked, not by how famous they are, but by how much they actually hurt. And the recession you're picturing right now, it isn't even in the top 4. So how do you rank pain? Not with vibes. 3 real numbers for every recession. How far the economy actually shrank, peak to trough. How high unemployment climbed at its worst point. And how long the whole thing lasted, start to finish by the bear's own dates. Score each recession 0 to 100 against the worst of the 8 on each measure. Then average the 3. That's it. No hidden weighting. It's this video's own scorecard, and every input number is on screen and sourced, so you can rebuild it yourself. 8 recessions. 3 questions each. 1 ranking. Let's go back to the beginning. August 1929. The U.S. economy peaks, and then, for 43 months, it doesn't stop falling. By the trough in March 1933, real output had collapsed 26.5%. Unemployment, by the historical estimates economists still use for this period, there's no monthly government survey before 1948, climbed to roughly 1 in 4 working Americans. 1 in 4. Nothing else on this list comes close. And here's the part most rankings skip. The economy started recovering in 1933, and then, in 1937, it fell again. Most economists point to the same mistake. Spending was cut and interest rates tightened, both too soon. Within about 13 months, output had dropped another 3%. Unemployment estimated back near 1 in 5. A recession inside the recovery, inside the same decade. This video counts 1937 to 38 as its own entry. October 1973. OPEC cuts oil exports to the countries that backed Israel in the Yom Kippur War. Gas lines wrap around blocks. Oil prices roughly quadruple within months. What follows breaks a rule economists thought was permanent. Inflation and unemployment weren't supposed to rise together, and for 16 months, starting that November, they did anyway. Real GDP fell 3.1%, peak to trough. Unemployment climbed to 9% by May 1975. Economists needed a new word for it. Stagflation, stagnant growth, with inflation instead of the usual falling prices. It wasn't the deepest recession on this list. It's the one that broke the playbook everyone thought they understood. August 1979. Paul Volcker takes over the Federal Reserve with one job. Kill the inflation the 70s left behind, whatever it costs. It costs a lot. He pushes the federal funds rate to 19.1% by June 1981, a level this country had never seen before or since. The result isn't 1 recession. It's 2 back-to-back, January to July 1980. GDP down 2.2%. A brief, incomplete recovery. Then July 1981 to November 1982, down another 2.5. Unemployment didn't peak until the second one ended, 10.8%, the highest since the Depression itself. 22 months of contraction, spread across two official recessions, both triggered by the same decision. Inflation broke, so did a lot of households on the way down. Not every recession on this list looks dramatic in the data. July 1990 to March 1991, GDP fell just 1.4%, the mildest contraction so far. But unemployment kept climbing for 15 months after the recession officially ended, not peaking until June 1992 at 7.8%, a jobless recovery, where the economy technically healed while paychecks stayed frozen. Then March to November 2001, the dot-com crash, then September 11th, back-to-back. And yet real GDP barely moved. Its worst single quarter fell 0.4%, and by the fourth quarter, it was already higher than where the recession started. The NBER didn't call this one using GDP at all. It leaned on jobs, income, and sales. On paper, it's the mildest entry on this entire list. It didn't feel that way if you lost your job in it. December 2007. This is the one most people picture first. Lehman Brothers collapses in September 2008, the largest bankruptcy filing in U.S. history, and the financial system seizes up behind it. Over the next 18 months, real GDP falls 3.8%. Unemployment doesn't peak until October 2009 at 10% and stays elevated for years afterward. 18 months is the longest contraction since the Depression. Almost everyone alive today either lived through this one or grew up in its shadow. It is, by a wide margin, the recession people call the worst. Hold that thought, because on the three numbers this video is actually measuring, it isn't. February 2020. Unemployment sits at 3.5%, a 50-year low. Then, in 8 weeks, the country shuts down. By April, unemployment is 14.8%, the highest ever recorded in this data, which starts in 1948. Real GDP falls 9.1% peak to trough, the sharpest collapse on this entire list. And then it's over. The NBER dates this recession at just 2 months, February to April 2020, officially the shortest recession in U.S. history, the deepest single drop and the shortest duration in the same event. Which raises the actual question this video was built to answer. Does a 2-month gut punch outrank an 18-month grind? The numbers, not your memory of 2020, are about to decide. Here's the full scorecard. GDP decline, peak unemployment, and duration, each scored against the worst of the 8, then averaged together. Number 8, the mildest, 2001, the dot-com bust, barely a dent in GDP. Number 7, 1990 to 91, the jobless recovery. Number 6, the 1973 oil shock, the one that broke the old economic playbook. Number 5, and here's the first real surprise, 2008. The Great Recession, the one everyone pictures first, the longest contraction since the Depression, ranks 5th. Number 4, 2020. The COVID cliff, with its historic GDP crater, outranks 2008 on this scorecard, even though its contraction ran 9 times shorter. Number 3, the VOLCKER shock, 2 recessions in 1 decade, still not the worst. Number 2, and this is the real upset, 1937 to 38. The recession most people have never heard of outranks every recession you've lived through. And number 1, by more than double the score of anything else on this list, 1929. The Depression isn't just first. It isn't close. Go back to the worker from the start of this video, the bread line, the layoff, the close sign. He never saw a composite score. He felt a paycheck disappear, and that felt like the whole world ending every single time. That's not wrong, exactly. It's just a different question than the one this video answers. What you remember is shaped by what you personally lived through. What the data says is shaped by what happened to the entire economy, decades before you were born included. Both are true. They just don't rank the same. 96 years later, the Depression is still the number every other recession gets measured against, including, one day, whichever one comes next. Every number in this video comes from Fred and the official NBR recession dates, both linked in the description. Check the scorecard yourself. If you want more of these, ranked straight from the raw data, subscribe. Next time, the population numbers that don't add up and the gap that's getting worse.